I'd like to switch over now. We'll go to India, where Dharmacharya Shantum Seth. He's also a senior Dharma teacher in Thich Nhat Hanh lineage. He's the senior advisor at the World Bank. He's been a student of Thai also for 30 years and has been working for the many years on mindfulness and education in India and a number of schools with teachers all around India, as well as recently working with the police force, I believe, in India, and bringing mindfulness into a whole new area. And he's the one main organizer of the 2008 Dehradun retreat that our teacher offered for teachers around India. And he also is famous for leading wonderful Buddha path tours for Sangha members and practitioners to visit the sacred sites of the Buddha's awakening and birth and parinibbana and so forth. And so we're very happy to have Shantum with us today.
So, thank you very much. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can you hear me?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay. No, thank you for organizing this webinar and also for inviting so many of our friends. It's a double pleasure just to share what we're doing and also to meet everyone, at least through this medium. And I feel that this is part of a Wake Up Schools movement, and we feel very grateful that we're in this time and space and history when we're part of it. As Brother Fapalu mentioned, when Thich Nhat Hanh, our common teacher, came to India in 2008, we asked him how would he like his continuation. And in that conversation, he talked about education as one of the areas where he would see, hopefully, not just continuation of his teachings, but also a shift in consciousness, a collective consciousness around the world. But he was very attentive, and we all know that the Buddha actually spoke about mindfulness in his first teaching at Sarnath in the Eightfold Path. And so we see this lineage not just starting at our time, but something for more than 2,500 years, where the Buddha shares about the practice of mindfulness, the practice of awareness, of everything that we do. And then he develops on that in the Satipatthana Sutra, where he talks about the four foundations of mindfulness, about our body and our feelings and our mind and our objects of mind. And so I feel that this pedagogical approach is something which has been running as a stream for centuries. What has happened, I feel, in the last few years, especially with neuroscience, it is sort of authenticated to some degree what people have known for 2,500 years. The efficacy of mindfulness, not just to relieve stress, but also to gain a sense of awakening and understanding of oneself in relationship with the world outside, and also with understanding oneself. So with that background, I feel that I'm very grateful that I live in India, because I think India was where the ground of this was. But of course, as many things do happen, we link with other countries, and it's not India's prerogative now anymore. And I'm very glad that we've got brothers and sisters from Vietnam to Amsterdam to America and France and everywhere, and South America here. Just to share a little bit about what we've been doing in India after 2008. In fact, we started a little earlier than 2008. It was two situations that arose. One was in a girls' boarding school in a city called Dehradun, which is actually the educational capital of North India, where the headmistress asked, she said that my young women are getting stressed before their exams, and is there any meditative technique you can help them with? And that's when I realized that this could be very useful for young people, because it helped them de-stress before their exams. And soon after, there was this 9/11 incident in the US, and the American Embassy School reached out saying that would you share some of the mindfulness practices, not to our students so much as our teachers. So this sort of started a little I would say, a little sharing in this practice, which is already there in the Plum Village tradition, and people like Richard Brady will tell us more about that. But when Thich Nhat Hanh came in 2008, it was the first national workshop that we held, and we had 550 teachers from across the country. And we were amazed how receptive people were to this. The people hadn't heard of Thich Nhat Hanh at all. He wasn't known in India, but the way he shared it and the way the community of monks and nuns who came with him, the Sangha came with him, I think it took root a little bit. And then since then, every year, and every 2 years, but now every year, we've been organizing national workshops to follow up on that. And sometimes in Dehradun, sometimes in Delhi. And these have become features where people come all the way from the south, north, east, west of India. And of course, predominantly from North India, because the workshops are here. And then in the interim, what we do is some of the schools that are particularly interested, then we go to those schools and follow up with the teachers. And we try and share the same practices. But our encouragement is really to set up a community of practitioners within the school amongst the teachers. And this is the model that we used with the American Embassy School, which their community of teachers started in 2001, and now it's 2018. So 17 years, this group has been meeting every week, once a week for an hour, as a mindful educators group. And of course, all people who were initially started are no longer there. It's a new group, new set of people which keeps turning. But they've obviously found the benefit of having a Sangha, a community within the school, who are attentive to this pedagogical approach. So I feel that's the model that we're using in other schools. So we follow up in school, we tell them, okay, we'll come for 6 sessions after the basic national workshop, but on the commitment that you bring at least 20 of your teachers to those Sanghas. And then we will let go, and you can carry on your own, and you can come and attend the national workshops, and et cetera, et cetera. What we found, of course, is that we are not so, we don't have the wide capacity of teachers within the school. So the national workshops are organized with the help of the monastics who come from the Plum Village tradition around the world. So each year we try and get somebody, whether they're from Thailand or from the US or from Germany or from France, and they primarily lead the national retreats. So what we're doing now amongst the Indian Sangha is we're training teacher trainers. So amongst the lay Sangha, so every 2 months we have a little training module that we get all the people who are interested in being facilitators of these programs within the lay Sangha to now get trained in leading these things. And it's quite, I think a bit like Tho was saying, we're pleasantly surprised how things work out. And also it, of course, empowers the people in the Sangha to start sharing more and then becoming, facilitators of these programs. So I think that's what we're doing here. And in the process of the last 10 years now, we have, I can't remember the figure, but it's a few thousand teachers who've gone through these retreats with us, which are varied between 3 to 5 days. And a lot of government teachers, a lot of private school teachers. And we approach the government sometimes, like, for example, the Uttarakhand government, which is a government in the north part of India. Recently, we had a sort of day-long mindfulness, a day of mindfulness, and we had 50 principals from their Uttarakhand schools, and principals and vice principals. So it's sort of, we keep seeding it, and somebody comes out of it and says, wow, this is great. We'd like to do this more in our school. So that's how, so we're looking for mindful schools, and we found, I would say, maybe 3 schools so far who we feel confident. They know all the Plum Village songs, they know the practices, they can start moving a little bit more on their own. But still, I feel everyone wants hand-holding, which is fine. And I think it's something which is our responsibility. We have a trust called Ahimsa Trust, which is what under the auspices of Ahimsa Trust we do this, and this is basically Thich Nhat Hanh's trust in India, which is doing this work. What we managed to do, which is interesting, is that every student who's studying to be a teacher in the state of Delhi, which is thousands of young people, all have to now do a 3-day retreat on mindfulness. So unfortunately, their trainers don't know enough of what they're going to be teaching. So it ends up being sort of yoga mostly. But so that's part of what we're doing now. We're training the teachers who are training the student teachers. And we're also doing a lot of work with the student teachers. So if, in fact, the 18 colleges like this. And so we've got another session with another college on the 29th and so on and so forth. So we're going to different colleges to try and inculcate what our understanding of mindfulness is into their curriculum, etc. And I would say the last couple of things we're trying to do is we're trying to set up a center which allows young people to come and practice mindfulness in a center in Dehradun, where instead of having a sort of a space to do that. And the other thing we're doing is we're doing journeys now for students, which inculcate the practice of mindfulness. So they're basically mindful journeys, which include also the practices that we do in Plum Village, but while we travel. So it's basically a traveling retreat for young people. And there we look at the ages of between 14 to 17, 18. So we do, the morning meditations. It's like a retreat, but a retreat on wheels. But so it's interesting and yet reflective. So it's this inner outer journey. That's quite a lot. We will continue a little bit more in discussion. So thank you so much for listening and just being attentive. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shantum. It's wonderful work. It brings me back to the memories of working with all the teachers in India, and how just discovering how open they were to getting in touch with actually the root, something that's in the root spiritual tradition. It was really so heartening to see that love and care that was just already there. It was just watering the seeds and it comes out naturally. So thank you for the beautiful work you do.
Thank you.